Michelle, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, Michelle,
Hi.
were you already on?
No, I just signed on.
Oh, okay.
So let's see.
So I told Kate, but before you start, I have a financial report for 2022.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm looking to see if she's signed on.
She just got in.
Okay.
Hey, Marcy.
I see a couple of names I recognize, or a lot of names, almost every
A
name.
lot of names. Hey, Amber's here. Woohoo! Avon and Glenn. Diane, Holly, Lorley.
I have everything on mute because I have a 4-year-old and we're making dinner. But hi guys, hi everyone. It's good to see
Hi.
you. I'm gonna mute it again and turn it off because it's circus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to being on the end of the Zoom or WebExes where I have the camera off and I'm not talking and I'm like washing dishes.
Yeah, you got to pay attention tonight, girl.
Multitask. Well, yeah, at least I do. For a little bit anyway. Hi, Kate.
I like your tapestry, Michelle. Is that painted or woven behind you?
Oh, it's woven. Let's see if I can drag my computer. I bought it for like $2 at a shop in where was it? Like not Sanderson.
It's beautiful.
I'm blanking out, but anyways, it's in West Texas, so
That's cool.
like out kind of by Junction area.
Hey, Amber.
Here, I'll show y'all my grandmother's coffee mugs, which are you can't see unless I stand up. But
Oh my goodness.
they're like these mugs that her and my mother used to collect, and most of them are from Japan. Like I guess that was before everything was being made in China.
Yeah, the one with the
gosh, I love
dots kind of stands out. That one.
That one, yeah, with the mushrooms. I can't really see them where my screen's going, but
Those are cool.
thank you. Kate, I'll let you start the meeting or the agenda. Otherwise, I'm gonna be showing everyone my coffee mugs.
Well, we can move on to, whatever's in the cabinets next, but
Right.
Well, let's wait a minute because there was like 30 some people signed up. So there's
Okay.
only
yeah, that's my comment. Also in the newsletter, it said we started at 7 and we sent out the invite to start at 6:30. So let's give people a chance to join. And I think we have a couple, before we get to Michelle's presentation, we have a couple of business items, one of which is we can talk a little bit about what's on the near-term schedule. And the other is Suzanne's going to tell us where we are financially for the year.
which is a good report.
Well, of course. So I guess my thought would be we're up to 20. How many registered, Suzanne?
The last time I looked, it was 32, but I've seen some names come on that weren't on the list I saw earlier, so it could be more.
Okay, great. So let's wait at least until a quarter till to get going. Is that
Yeah, I think
okay?
that probably would be better to wait. So I hope folks are getting out on prairies. Jeff Quayle is leading a lot of fun hikes out to various places. And I will say that we went to the old zoo nature trail in Cisco, and that was fascinating. So it's hard to find because it's kind of tucked away by a creek, and you can really easily miss the sign going by because the speed limit is 70 miles an hour on 183. But anyway, check it out. It's back in the 1920s. I think they started this zoo outside Cisco because Cisco was a big oil boom town. So they had lots and lots of money. So they started this zoo, but that only lasted a couple of decades, and then they closed it down in the late 1930s. And I see Kim Conroe's on here, and she was with us, so maybe she can elaborate a little more. But we found all kinds of cool plants there, and I mean, it's not really a prairie site, so to speak, but interesting, really, really interesting site. So
It was an interesting, it had the largest pool at the time, at the turn of the century in the United States. And the pool is still there, and it feeds into the creek that's there that runs off the dam. We saw shin oak. What else did we see? That was a new one for me. So that was a very interesting, and we saw that today. I went on a hike today with Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Into Lake Weatherford, and we saw shin oak there as well. So I'm starting to be able to recognize that one on the trail.
We saw all kinds of interesting like ferns and fern allies like liverworts and selaginella and things like that were super fascinating, kind of growing over the rocks, like, the creeping. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. And the cages you can see where the cages were for the animals. It was interesting, and what we think were their water troughs. So like for the bears, it's an interesting trip out there. I liked it.
Mhm.
So Jeff has a
I'm
number
in the
of
dark, aren't I?
You're okay.
your ceiling is light.
Yeah. Anyway, it was
Jeff
a
has
great
also
time.
a number of hikes planned through the Fort Worth NPAT, beginning principally in April. There's one out to the grasslands. There's one to Chalk Mountain. There's another one to Flower Mound, and Camp Leroy Schumann. So those will be in the next newsletter with the dates, and then as it gets nearer, we'll publish and sign up for them. Just a little while longer, and we can start with our rosy financial report.
Does anybody else have adventures they want to share about that they've been doing? This has actually been a pretty mild winter, so good opportunities to get out.
The other thing is, if everyone does not know, the Smiley Woodfin Prairie in Northeast Texas, which was highly endangered. It was sold off by a widow who was not ecologically minded and acquired for a solar generating farm. The company that acquired it was working with the Nature Conservancy, and they've agreed to conserve, I think it was about 1,000 acres. And this is really pristine. It's as good as prairie gets in Texas. It's a tall grass prairie in deep black land. So it's a major achievement that an industrial company that is willing to work with the Nature Conservancy and save those acres. So that's really worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jeff Sargent with NPAT. I just wanted to
Jeff.
add to that project that that our executive director, Kirsty Harms, had been in conversation for several months with Ørsted, the company that's doing the solar project, about our concerns and, you know, respectfully communicating with them. And I think, you know, her work with them helped encourage that partnership with Nature Conservancy.
I think it
And
takes
David Bezanson negotiated that partnership with Nature Conservancy, and he is a great conservationist in the state and a really good friend of NPAT too.
Yeah.
a large number of people were deeply committed to seeing that through, and we all benefit.
I feel like that's gonna lead the way for maybe other solar companies, and as well as this one, Ørsted, to do more things like that, because across the state, some agriculture land is being converted to solar farms, but also prairies or, you know, woodlands, other places are being converted on the scale of like 2,500 acres at a time. So look for one popping up in a neighborhood near you eventually. So I think this is good groundwork as like an introduction to these companies to help them be more conservation minded. Yeah, and I see Shara pointed out that she has one that she knows of that's 5,000 acres. So, you know, when they say that, it could be 5,000, you know, formerly cropland or a combination of cropland, grazing land, you know, pristine prairies or woodlands.
Well, and I want to put a plug in for some advocacy, because I think we should advocate for solar panels to be put on already disturbed areas or on rooftops or on parking garages, things that are already in place that where you're not gonna disrupt brand new good habitat. We need to save that good habitat, and we need to put our solar installations on places that are already developed, which is obviously a lot easier than putting a wind turbine in your yard. You know, put solar on your roof. So just putting in a plug for that. California, you know, of course, they're oftentimes really in the vanguard of different experiments. And I just read about a project that they did. There's a big aquifer that feeds Los Angeles. And because they were having so much evaporation loss from the aquifer, they put a roof over it to shade it so they wouldn't have so much evaporative loss. And then they put solar panels on that roof. I mean, wow, what an opportunity. That's fantastic. So please, if you're of an advocacy mind, advocate for things like that.
I do think we need to be careful that we don't come across as anti-solar. The prairie advocates, we need to clearly advocate exactly as Suzanne just said, that, you know, we're for solar. It's a great improvement over other sources of energy, but it needs to be grown responsibly as an industry.
I think it's so new right now on large scale in Texas that we don't have rules and regulations or anything in place, and it's happening so quickly. So there's a lot of room for advocacy for organizations, you know, like NPAT or Nature Conservancy to help with some parameters and some best management practices and restoration possibilities, and be involved in the planning of some of those, so an organization can offer guidance on where the pristine prairie or woodlands are that should be saved.
Well, and there's the other side of it, Michelle, which is closer to what you do, but from a city perspective, I wonder if HOAs have any restrictions on solar. I think they can't, given that law that passed in 2018. But one would hope that the cities, as they are granting, access and lights, power, and water to these new developments, that maybe they can also put a plug in for that being the natural and correct place for solar energy.
I haven't seen that come up yet, but it's possible that that will come up.
Well, Kate, I
there's a-
haven't seen anybody else come on for quite a while. We have 26. Oh, wait, somebody else just came on. Okay, so they're still coming in.
And for our next meeting, I'm not sure when our next Zoom is. It's not for a while because we have we've dedicated a mindset toward more outdoors and less sitting in front of a computer in 2023. So we will not be regularly having these Zoom monthly meetings as we've done in the past. Instead, we'll be capitalizing on Jeff Quayle's willingness to lead hikes and other hikes to other sites that we're planning this year, one to Leela and one to Sherry K Park. So our focus is really getting out more. Maybe when it's too hot to get out, that's when we'll be back on another Zoom. But my point is, we'll try and be a little better coordinated about a start time that is a real start time and not a pre-start time. But let's go ahead and begin. And if we could start with you, Suzanne, and our financial update.
Yes, I'm the treasurer for the chapter, so I have a financial update for, well, I did. Hang on a second, let me go find it. I've seemed to have lost it somewhere. Okay, hang on. I think I can get it back now. There we go. Okay, so this is our all of our transactions. Sorry, this is all of our transactions for 2022. And we started out the year with 3,400 and change in our chapter bank account, which actually is a sub account of the state's main account. So we don't actually have our own bank account. We're just a sub account from the state. And so we have a net profit over the year, or a net gain. I shouldn't say profit because we're not really trying to profit from this, but of $1,138. And so our current balance is $45.5235. And of note, in the spreadsheet are we did get a very nice donation mid-year to our chapter, and the chapter leadership opted to put it towards Prairie Seekers because that's been a very, very wonderful for us educational outreach. And so we are, what we're using this money for is we are covering the cost of lunch for the Prairie Seekers participants. So that's why we're able to offer free lunch when you do the Prairie Seekers workshop. So we really thank our donor greatly for that. And then field trip fees and Prairie Seekers workshop fees are all in here. We did a really great training class. Joanne Collins did a great training class for teachers that was part of a statewide initiative to get teachers out on the prairie so that you could find out about a local prairie near your school, and then you could actually use it for teaching your students. And so the Chisholm Trail Community Prairie off of McPherson in South Fort Worth is very close to schools in the Crowley ISD, and she did a training class and bought these materials for the training class. So So that's been a wonderful initiative too. That was generated at the state level. So if anybody has any questions about our financial status, please ask. I'm here to answer if I can. Okay, so hearing none, I will stop sharing and I'll let Kate take it away.
So I just have one more reminder before we go to Michelle's presentation. And that is our first Prairie Seekers of the year is March 25th. And it's at the Skip Barnett Ranch up in Denton County. Many of us have been to Skip's Ranch in the past. It's a fascinating ecozone. There are plants there that you really, it ranges from barrens to deep soils, to really beautiful prairies, to wooded areas. It's a lovely site. It's a family ranch. It has a lot of Texas heritage. It's not just a beautiful natural site, but it's a family owned and operated business that's successful. And we're going to learn a lot and we're going to have a good time. So if you want to get in, we limit it to, I believe, 30. Do I remember correctly?
Yes, 30, and I will have I'll have the registration site set up probably by the end of January, and we'll send out a link.
We'll put it in the newsletter that'll come out at the end of January. That's a nice dovetail there. And so with that, I know that Michelle does not need an introduction. I'm sure that everybody on this call knows Michelle Villafranca. But I thought it would be nice for us to remember for just a moment how thankful we are to have someone with her skills and her knowledge and her persistence advocating for prairies in North Texas. And I also am always amazed at how Michelle always seems to be in the right place at the right time to influence incredible large decisions that sway, the future of great tracts of land. And she's the founder of this chapter and as always our guiding light. So Michelle's going to tell us what we did last year, and I'm very anxious to hear. So you can share now, please, Michelle.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think I just tend to have my hands in everything, which is how I end up being at the right place at the right time sometimes. So but thank you. I don't know, Kate, if you can see if people come into the waiting room. It's been popping up on my screen, so
I'm not one of the organizers, so I can't see, but I think Suzanne can.
Okay.
Yes, I can see, so I'll keep an eye out.
Okay, all right. Okay, I will share my screen then. Let's see. And put it on slideshow. Okay, can y'all see the screen?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
now I have to find my controls. Like I said, I'm often not the one leading meetings, so. Okay, yes, so thank you for the introduction. As Kate said, I'm one of the founding members of the chapter of NPAT when we had the 2014 State of the Prairie Conference in Fort Worth. A whole group of us attended, helped plan that conference, and out of that, all the excitement and enthusiasm developed this chapter, and definitely had lots of great people helping, several of you on here right now, helping with the chapter and programming and prairie seekers and leading hikes and field trips, building the chapter up from the beginning. So, but we're here to talk about last year. So I basically wrote a report, or I do this every year, is write a report to the State Native Prairies Association of Texas so that they know what our chapter has been up to, but it's the basis of this presentation. And when you really start writing reports, and I'm sure some of you are well versed in writing reports on projects or in school, it really focuses you in on looking at things. And I'm always amazed because the year just seems to go by like in a flash of lightning. I'm always amazed at what all we've accomplished. And it's, again, like Kate said, persistence. We're very persistent, we're dedicated, we're enthusiastic, we're passionate. And when you get a group of volunteers together that encompass all of that, you can get a lot done. So I wanted to use this to show our wonderful audience and supporters what all we've been up to. So in January last year, did this presentation. Nothing too exciting. It was I think it was a PowerPoint Zoom presentation. We used to do it in person. Let's see if I can get there. In February, Kim Conroe was our guest presenter. Let me clear my screen so I can see what I'm looking at. So she did a Zoom presentation about Benbrook Lake, the environmentally sensitive area. And her and Ray and Corinna and their dogs and their friends started hiking frequently, and Kim can fill us in on that later. They were hiking a lot at U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Lake Benbrook or Benbrook Lake land. So they have over, I forget, 1,000 or 2,000 acres that surround Benbrook Lake. And actually, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers property is one of those key anchors that the city of Fort Worth is using to build off of to try to acquire open space through the Open Space Conservation Program and make connections that connect to the lake and the large swath of land and prairies there. So in let's see, I can't see my screen. So in March, we actually we pretty much stopped doing Zooms mostly last year as well. Again, as Kate said, so that we could focus more on actually getting people outdoors, out on prairies to learn, for camaraderie, for rah team building for the prairie team. So Suzanne led a hike, and it was entitled Explore Rocky Creek Prairie at Benbrook Lake. And I did not make it to that, so I do have to say that I snagged a lot of people's pictures for this. So I tried to attribute credit where I could for the photographs. But by all the feedback, it was a really great hike. It looks like it was a really wonderful day for hiking as well. In April, Jeff Quell, I think most everyone knows Jeff Quell, if not even have gone out on hikes and ramblings with him. He should be a professional botanist, but he definitely knows his plants. And so he likes to share knowledge with people. And so probably about half of you might know that there's actually a plant that's named after Jeff. Like there's a plant, its Latin name is named after Jeff. So that tells you that he knows his plants. He's out exploring, and he's actually found a plant that was not known to botanists, and so it got his name. So again, these are photos that were taken by attendees on that trip, and you can see there were quite a lot of people on his trip too. So what they're looking at on Jeff's trip and on Suzanne's is the Fort Worth prairie habitat or ecosystem. Jeff led another hike. And by the way, he has scheduled a lot of hikes for Native Prairies Association for the Fort Worth chapter coming up in 2023. And we'll get that information out to you. I think I have some at the end of this presentation, as well as in our upcoming newsletter. So another hike that Jeff led was to Oakmont Park. That's the city of Fort Worth Park. It's kind of right smack dab in the middle of, it's kind of within Loop 820, or just right there, kind of what I'm now calling Central Fort Worth, because Fort Worth is growing so vastly across the landscape. Oakmont Park has the cement trail that's connected to the Trinity Trails, but there is a wild area, a natural area within Oakmont Park where you kind of hike these little goat trails up to the top of a hill, and it overlooks the Clear Fork of the Trinity River. And up there you see a remnant Fort Worth prairie habitat. And so with Jeff, they go hiking these goat trails and look at the plants there. In May, he led the LBJ National Grasslands hike. LBJ National Grasslands is called Caddo LBJ National Grasslands, is located in Weiss County. Is managed by the U.S. Forest Service, and they have something over 20,000 acres of national grasslands in Weiss County. And then they also have almost that equivalent in Fannin County out by Bonham, Texas. So what they're doing, you know, at LBJ National Grasslands, they have, it's a multiple use concept for management, and that's what the U.S. Forest Service does. Is they basically provide recreation and hunting and outdoor activities for a diverse interest. So it's called multiple use. So there are equestrian trails out here, well over 50 miles worth of equestrian trails. And then there are a lot of places where you can drive up and you can get on the trail, or you can just go hiking or look at the wildflowers right from the gravel roads. And so Jeff Quayle was taking people on this field trip to look at the Fort Worth Prairie and the Western Cross Timbers, because they're basically like this. Fort Worth Prairie has fingers coming out on these mesas. That's that calcareous rocky limestone soil that's kind of integrating with the Western Cross Timbers, which is sandy post oak soil. And so these are two pictures of your Fort Worth Prairie and your Western Cross Timbers savanna. He also led a hike to Fossil Hill, that's a property on Lake Amon Carter, to look at, it's basically fringe Western Cross Timbers. So it's where the post oaks are starting to get a little bit more scraggly. And that's over in the area of Bowie. So if many of you have traveled much kind of on the western side of the DFW Metroplex and beyond, you notice that you have Western Cross Timbers with these very grand, large post oaks, but then as you move further west, they start getting shorter and like scragglier. I say they do this, you know, they're very rugged looking, and that's due to the precipitation belt. As you're going westward, you're getting less precipitation. And so the result is shorter post oaks. And so he, on that hike, he takes, and I'll let the person who owns the property speak up if they want to, if they're on the presentation. But the property is amazing. It's beautiful. And it's, you know, it's got like these sandstone boulders with lichen and all of these interesting mosses that are growing there, and you get this lovely view of Lake Amon Carter. Jeff also led a hike in May, so you know that Jeff Quayle really loves the spring wildflower season, because he books a lot of hikes. And I would encourage anyone who's on here, that gets our newsletter, to look at those hikes. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. I just got a sign that my internet's unstable. Hopefully you will be able to.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah, something came up and it's like your internet's unstable. No. Thank you. So Jeff, yeah, I was saying just make sure you sign up for his field trips and hikes, because he picks some really great places to go. So another field trip that he led was to Caddo National Grasslands to look at the Blackland Prairie there. And that's kind of like an intersection of Blackland Prairie, where that and Post Oak Savanna meet. So that's further east from here. And then we had this wonderful field trip that Suzanne organized. And I do want to go back and say that a lot of our hikes we're offering for free or for a donation. So we usually put on there like whatever you think is an appropriate amount to donate. But please know, if you sign up for our hikes, field trips, any of our events, and there's either a donation or there's a fee assessed for it, that money goes to the chapter and we send it to the state to help support conservation measures. So it goes into helping the state NPAT with outreach, with conservation, with land purchases. So back to Suzanne's field trip. We went to 4K Ranch, that's west of Mineral Wells. Kim Olson is the owner of the property, and her husband are very, they really are great hosts. They like people to come visit their place. They're doing a restoration project on that site. They're on, I think it was on the Brazos River there, west of Mineral Wells. They have a little bit of riverfront property. And they have an orchard. They're doing everything organic. They have this amazing butterfly garden, a greenhouse, and this area that was, I forget what it was, maybe it used to be a hay field or something, and they're restoring it. And so in the center picture, Suzanne is, we're looking at Eastern gamagrass, and she's talking to us about how Eastern gamagrass blooms and how it produces seeds and in what order.
Their property used to be a peanut farm. It's 82 acres, I think Kim told us, and it slopes down to the Brazos River. So in that top right picture, we're skipping stones on the Brazos. That's one of the requirements Kim has for visitors. You have to go down and find a stone and skip at least one stone into the Brazos River.
Yeah, we figured out who was good at that and who was not. And I will say that I sank the rock like every time right off the bat. Not good. I'm not good. But Uren, who I think I put in that picture, he was very good at skipping. Yep, that's him right there. That was skipping a stone, and he did very well at it. And then in, when was this? I got to move my little box around. May. We held Prairie Seekers, the Prairie Toolbox at Leo Ranch. And so we have been going to Leo Ranch for several years. We moved the Prairie Seekers program around to, we try to cover different parts of the metroplex of the area, of the counties that we cover, so that people get a taste of, you know, different ecosystems and locations. But we always come back to Leo Ranch because it's such a great place. That's in Wise/Cook County, at that border, north and northeastern Wise County. And now I'm blanking out. I think that one is like about 5,000 acres. It's owned and operated, managed by the Dixon Water Foundation. And they actually are co-grantees. So they're doing a match for Carly Olive, who works for Native Prairies Association of Texas. They are basically co-sponsors of her position to do outreach. I did that, and Carly was our NPAT representative, and Suzanne did a lot of, like, almost all the heavy lifting on planning Prairie Seekers, but she had a lot of help and scouting from Kate Morgan, Jean Erickson, Mary Curry, who were co-leads on the field trip, and they've been co-leads and co-coordinators on like many of the Prairie Seekers that we've had over the last couple of years, which is really great. And they have so much to offer with their experience and knowledge. So whenever we do prairie seekers, we kind of do a round robin. So people get to hear from more than just one person about prairies. On this prairie seekers field trip, again, it was at Dixon Water Foundation in the Fort Worth Prairie. So there's this really wonderful sinkhole and spring seep on the Dixon Water Foundation. And luckily it had rained fairly recently, so we got to see water flowing into it from the seep into the sinkhole. And I included this picture here. I got this, I think, from Joanne, had some things. Joanne is one of our chapter leaders for outreach, and she and Evelyn worked together on outreach for the chapter. And Evelyn right here has this really awesome all-terrain walker, but I didn't get to see her use it at Dixon at the Leo Ranch. So I got to see that because she's like rocking and rolling on that on that all-terrain walker. There's another picture of her. And then we had, I mean, whenever we do prairie seekers, even people who sign up and attend the class, they know a lot, they're experts. So it's really great to be able to share, you know, like Michael Smith and Megan Cassidy are sharing their knowledge about spiders, about insects, reptiles, and amphibians. It's just, in addition to our leaders and co-leaders of the field trip, you have so many people who attend prairie seekers that have some expertise in something and they share it. And it's just, to me, it's like going to a prairie church or something. It's really fun to go to prairie seekers. And then in July, we held a workshop. This was at Russell Farm in Burleson. And Russell Farm is a historic property that was owned by the same family for years and years and years. And this woman is the widow. She owned the property, but her family donated it to the city of Burleson for this heritage farm. And they have art classes and workshop space. They have a little museum. They actually have artists in residence there. And so I was really excited to coordinate with the city of Burleson on this herbal workshop because it was a win-win for native prairies and for the city of Burleson for this Russell Farms for their programming. We had Christina Moon, who at the time she was my colleague with the city of Fort Worth as a park planner. She's a landscape architect and an herbalist. And so she led this workshop on using native plants and some adapted and some other herbs to create not medicinal concoctions, but like, you know, teas and different things, salves that you could use. So then we had another Prairie Seekers Prairie Toolbox in September. And this one was at the Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge in Tarrant County. And Suzanne and Kate coordinated that in conjunction with Daniel Price, who's the refuge natural resource manager there at the Nature Center. And what they did is they looked, and y'all can correct me, Suzanne or Kate, if I'm wrong, but I think I wasn't there, that y'all looked at Fort Worth Prairie habitat, and you might have looked at the Western Cross Timbers habitat, but then went into some of the sites that have been burned through prescribed burn. And in this example, it's in the Northeast Pasture at the Fort Worth Nature Center, which is a restoration project of removing woody species and then burning. And they haven't seeded, to my knowledge, but done plant surveys and photo points. And the grass response has been amazing with a combination of burning and bison grazing and rest.
Yeah.
We really focused on, we really focused the day on learning how they use fire to maintain prairies. It was really the focus. And we were mostly on the Fort Worth Prairie. Suzanne, you were going to add?
I was just gonna like an overview of the Prairie Seekers, the toolboxes where what we've been doing for each session is we've been focusing on a specific, what we want to do with Prairie Seekers. The point is to train people to recognize potential. You know, maybe it's a prairie that hasn't been well managed, but if you can recognize that it is a good intact remnant, you know, there might be some opportunity there to engage a landowner or do some more conservation. But we're also we're looking at management practices and tools that people use. So with Leo Ranch, a lot of the focus was grazing. With the nature center, the focus was basically burning. And we're looking at other things like wildlife, detecting wildlife sign, birding checklists, things like that. So we typically focus on some specific aspect or two of prairie besides just an overview. And yes, at the nature center, it was mainly burning.
Yeah, and of course the burning, you know, I went, it's not unique to only the nature center, but the nature center is just such a great learning tool or place to look at burning because it's long-term burning on the site. So that was a really, I think, exciting Prairie Seekers as far as the content and what you were looking at. Let's see. And then in October, Joanne Collins coordinated the Teaching the Fort Worth Prairie. And as most of you probably know, Joanne is a retired school teacher. She's still doing some teaching online, and she's still involved with working with teachers. So she has like a passion for teaching and a passion for teaching the prairie. And she coordinated this workshop with, I think it was with Fort Worth ISD, where was the target of teachers. And she had some assistants, which was Evelyn, Zach Chapman, Sharon Hamilton, Kim and Ray Conroe. And again, I got these pictures from Joanne. But from all accounts, it was a very successful workshop. The indoor portion was held at Chisholm Trail Community Center, which is a City of Fort Worth park, a community center that has a 80-acre prairie park that has some active use recreation, like a skate park and soccer fields, but it also has a cement trail that's ADA accessible that goes around the prairie and goes to the pond. It has a fishing pier. So it's, and we also saved some of the prairie to be prairie only. And it just is a really great site to hold a teacher's workshop if you're teaching about the Fort Worth Prairie because of all the amenities there. I don't know if Joanne is on the call, if you wanted to say anything or say it at the end.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It was a success. We with the people that were there, I'm hoping next year we'll be able to get more teachers involved. This was a statewide workshop, so 3 different places across the state had the workshop different times, and then we all got together and did a Zoom meeting at the end of it to kind of tie it all up. So we plan on doing that again. So if you notice it, please share with other teachers. We had homeschool teachers, we had private school teachers, and we had public school teachers. So anybody that is teaching students is welcome to come.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, as she mentioned, that was also part of the state NPAT outreach. So it's a great resource that Native Prairies Association of Texas has with Della Barbado, that she's doing this huge outreach and education program down in Deer Park, Texas, where NPAT has a prairie. But she's such a great resource for the chapters if we have someone like Joanne that can coordinate these kind of, they're expanding on the state program, so. Okay, so for outreach, also, Joanne and Eveline are our main outreach people. And they do a lot. I didn't even realize how much that the two of them do until I put this report together. And I was like, oh my gosh, like at least half of this program is like Joanne and Eveline driving all over the state doing public outreach. And they have a lot of fun. They pair up with Carly Olicky with NPAT on some events. So if anyone is interested in like joining Joanne and Eveline, I'm sure they would appreciate it. I'm telling you, they have a lot of fun at these events. So they went over to Ellis County to this rural Heritage Day and did outreach about prairies there. Joanne also coordinated the Savage Cabbage Bash, and that's an ongoing, I don't remember how long it's been going on, but it's in conjunction with Tarrant Regional Water District on the Trinity Trail. So Tarrant Regional Water District manages the Trinity River there in Fort Worth. And they collaborate with Joanne and Native Prairies Association to do the Savage Cabbage Bash. And that's basically bringing in students from local schools to have like a couple hours where they're pulling up invasive bastard cabbage, and then talking to them, teaching them about why we don't want that plant there, really what its role is ecologically as an invasive, what it's doing to prairies, but not just prairies, some of our other areas that are more maintained.
So we have, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but
go ahead.
This was the 7th year, but we had 2 years we had to skip because of COVID. And when we pull it, it disappears for the next few years. It doesn't grow in the same spot until it's disturbed again. But we are doing it again February 18th. So if anybody is interested in coming out and helping, I am trying to get anybody that has 2 legs and 2 arms to come out and pull up bastard cabbage. We will haven't gotten the site exactly where we're going to do it yet. The manager of that particular part of the river is out scouting out areas to see where we could find some. But if anybody's willing to come out and help do that, please let me know. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Okay. Okay, and then also she's been to several of the Tarrant County College District's Earth Day events. Typically we're going to the Northwest campus because Greta Bowling was a professor over biology that was coordinating with our chapter to do quite a few things there on the campus. And so that's a good outreach event for students. And then Joanne also went to the Farmersville lunch and hike at High Point Prairie, which I honestly, I guess it's in Farmersville, which is northeast of DFW. And that area is really, really blowing up with development, just like everywhere around here. And so Farmersville, in very short order, is not going to be a village of farmers. It's going to be a village of suburban homes. But there is some prairie out there. The Nature Conservancy owns Climber Meadow in that area. And then there's, I think, a couple other properties in the area.
This particular piece of prairie is owned by a family that was going to sell it and build homes up there. And it is a really high point overlooking a lake there in Farmersville. And somebody saw it. Actually, they had a fallout. It was like 2008 when everything went south, and nobody developed for a while. And some other people found that this prairie was there. So now we're trying to figure out how to help this family still recoup the financial investment that they have in the prairie, or some tax benefit or some way to save the prairie and keep it. So they're very interested, and it's still an ongoing process. So hopefully we'll be able to find some ways to save that. It's a
Yeah, and I think-
beautiful little piece.
I think probably everyone knows that when there's generational change, of land from one generation to the next, usually the next generation, they live somewhere else, or they're not interested in the land. They don't want to work it. They don't want to live there or whatnot. And a lot of families, even if they are conservation minded, will just sell it because and they'll sell it to developers, or now to solar farms, for solar farms, because they have no other choice. So that's where NPAT, or Texas Land Conservancy, or the Nature Conservancy, if it fits their mission and the property's good and the owner's willing to put it under a conservation easement, that would be the ultimate best outcome, I think. And then Joanne gave a presentation at the Audubon, and she was talking about monarchs. So that was probably, now that we're all back to going to indoor gatherings, that was one of the first ones. And then there was Prairie Day at White Rock Lake. And so this was like a combination event when Native Prairies Association's Carly Olicky, as well as our Blackland chapter, which is our sister chapter here in North Texas. We kind of crossed lines, the members crossed lines to do public events. And so if I'm sorry.
Well, and this is also with Native Plant Society. The actual title is Native Plants and Prairies Day. So, because I was out there for the Native Plant Society doing hikes on the prairie remnants out there. So
okay, yeah, I should put your name on there for the report.
Well,
Yeah,
I wasn't there officially for NPAT. I was there for
yeah.
NPSOT, but
Yeah, we're all like at cross, everything crosses over. So, and also at White Rock Lake, I know the city of Dallas, their urban biologist, works with NPAT and probably Native Plant Society for a prairie restoration project there on Boy Scout Hill. And so that would just give you an idea of, if you could do like this, like what did this area used to look like before, Dallas Fort Worth was established. And I might have gotten the school wrong here. I wasn't sure if it was Trinity Valley or another school, private school in Fort Worth, but they had a Prairie Day. And so Joanne and Eveline went to meet with the kids and teach them about prairies and like look at rosin weed and look at roots and talk about prairie ecology. And then Julie Yantis is someone who lives over by Sulphur Bluff, Sulphur Springs area. And she is doing a restoration project. I forget the acreage she has, if it's 50 or 100 acres or so. But there's a big prairie community in that area with several conservation easements that are under NPAT's care in this area. There's also solar farms going in over there. But it is like a hotbed of prairie conservation in Northeast Texas. And then the Texas SCR conference. So that's Texas Society for Ecological Restoration. I used to be a board member of that, and I've transitioned off and passed the baton to Jamie Baxter Sly on that. And Joanne and Eveline went to, I think it was in Austin this year, went there and attended the conference, but also talked to students. And Texas SCR is a very good organization for university students. I think, I mean, it's a great venue or conference for university students to go to if they're wish to be biologists, ologists of any kind, working in natural resources, because they can give presentations to a professional audience. They can do poster presentations on their research. And then we have, for the state Native Prairies Association of Texas, we have many, many meetings and many events. So just the events and the outreach and the things that we do just in our chapter, that's going on almost all across the state, from state board members and NPAT staff. We have the whole state. and then add to that the various chapters throughout the state. There's just a lot going on. So I was only putting together a report for this chapter's events, but there's like a lot that the state's doing and other chapters are doing. And Joanne and Eveline drive all over the state to attend these state meetings and help out where they can. And then another part of outreach is this newsletters, website, social media. Oops. And then fundraising. So as a chapter, we're not like the powerhouses of fundraising. We're doing a lot more, you know, hikes and things like that bring in a little bit of donations and funds. But this year, Jeff Sargent, who's with Native Prairies Association, he's the development director, he organized People for Prairies with the help of Kirsty Harms, who's the executive director, and Carly Olicky, and volunteers from our chapter and from the Blackland chapter. And it was the first time that we've done it up in North Texas, and it was basically like a gala event, but it brought in people from 5 different industries. I don't want to call them industries, but from 5 different focuses of conservation, from private land to nonprofit to municipalities. And they did like a quick presentation and then a round table, and then we had really good food and alcohol and auctions and a field trip, and that was in Flower Mound. And then these are just pictures from the field trip for People for Prairies. We had a Native American Seed Company come out and lead a field trip with Diane Weatherby. Let's see. And then fundraising, we do the North Texas Giving Day. And, you know, for the North Texas area, and Jeff headed that up this year. Normally Suzanne heads it up, but because now we have a development director for the state, he did that. And I don't remember how many donations we got, but I do want to say that North Texas Giving Day is really, really good, because you know, it raises money here locally, and then that organization gives the money out through grants. And so, for example, right now, the city of Fort Worth, the open space program and the Parks Department, we wrote a $150,000 grant to the North Texas Giving Foundation, and we received it. So now we're hustling from now until the end of August to do a lot of work at Tandy Hills with forestry mulching, herbicide, trail construction, internship program, interpretive signage, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but we're the money stays here locally. So hopefully next year, NPAT, we can write a grant for something. And then fundraising, if you have. Oh, go
Michelle,
ahead. Yes.
Jeff put something in the chat. North Texas Giving Day this year had 49 donors that raised over $10,000. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that, you know, that money,
You're welcome.
the money that is raised through North Texas Giving Foundation stays here. So, you know, if it's raised for NPAT, then it stays in the area for, like, we've used some of the money in the past to purchase the Matthews Prairie. Friends of Tandy Hills, they do North Texas Giving Day, and that money goes back into Tandy Hills Park. So it's a really, really great way to generate some funds for nonprofits by a nonprofit. And then I had Amazon Smile in here, although I heard that they're discontinuing that, so we'll just skip that, which is sad because then something through Amazon at the donation goes to Native Prairies Association. And so special thanks to our tireless volunteers with the chapter. We had, and this is probably an underestimate, I'm sure I didn't get everyone's hours, no matter how persistent or how hard I tried. I came up with at least 704 hours of volunteer time, and valued at the national volunteer rate, that's $29.95 an hour, which comes out to, if my math is correct, you know, $21,099.78. So, I mean, that's huge. And here are some of our chapter board members, committee chairs, helpers. Let me go back to that. And this is everyone in action. And might I just say, if anyone wants to see your glowing, beautiful face up on our next year's report, volunteer with us, and then I'll put you on this. So for upcoming events in 2023, this is just a few of them, and I missed the Cabbage Bash, which is happening in February. But we will send out a newsletter that will be more fleshed out with these details. But Saturday, March 25th is Prairie Seekers at the Barnett Ranch, which has the Chisholm Trail running through it. And that's also conservation easement that's held by Texas Land Conservancy. April 16th, we're going to have a Tandy Hills field trip. And by then we should have some of the grant activity underway, hopefully less privet visible there. And we'll also go over to Broadcast Hill and look at that new open space property. Earth Day on April 22nd, we may be in attendance at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. They're having an Earth Day event. And then, of course, just wanted to remind everyone, April 28th through May 1st is the City Nature Challenge. Sam Kieschnick is our local contact on that, so just be on the lookout for him to send out information about that. And we would love for people to go out on prairies and document during that time. And then April 29th, Jeff Quell is kicking off his spring hikes at LBJ National Grasslands. So we have a lot more planned, but I didn't want to flood us with all of it. We pretty much planned all the way through December. My last there. Okay, so I have to admit that I did take this picture from Jeff Quell without his permission, because it's such an awesome picture of so many of our prairie peeps going out on hikes and field trips together. And I just thought, you know, these are some of the people that really get super excited about prairies, and so we'd like to spread that to other people around DFW. And with that, I would just like to end it that we've done a lot in 2022. We're doing a lot in 2023, but more work lies ahead because, you know, there are a lot of prairies out there that need advocacy. And maybe not just even prairies, but just open space in general, especially when you're in an urban area. So I will leave it at that. Where will we go to learn our lessons when the prairie is gone? So with that, if anyone has any comments or questions, or you're ready to eat, or you're done washing your dishes.
Thank
Yes,
you, Michelle.
please, if y'all have any comments, please unmute yourself, start your video, have a discussion. Got some comments. Enjoyed this very informative presentation. Thank you so much. And the chapter has been busy. Yes, we have. Thank you, Michelle, and everyone for your hard work.
The other request that I would make of everyone on the call is if you have a favorite place to hike or an interest in going to some local area that maybe you haven't yet visited, let us know about it. We would like to broaden our knowledge of prairies all over North Texas. So join with us and suggest the places you would like to see.
Yes, we're always looking for new places to explore, and we love seeing new things. We're always on the lookout for new Prairie Seekers locations too.
Yeah, one of the places that we will eventually have a Prairie Seekers is at Rock Creek Ranch Park, which is the new park in South Fort Worth. And it's 300 acres, possibly will become about 330 if a additional donation is made by a developer. We're just waiting for the home that's on the property to be ready so that we could host out of that location for the Prairie Seekers.
Hopefully in the fall, huh? Is that the plan? Great.
Well, I just wanted to tell everyone thank you for joining, because I was like, oh, probably like 3 people will sign in. It'll be, Kate, Suzanne, and I. Because who wants to hear Michelle ramble on about what the chapter's done? But I really appreciate that, like, actually are interested in what we're doing. That's awesome. So thank you.
So
So
Laura said there were 35 of us at the peak.
yeah, we need to keep track of that.
Good number.
Oh, well done, Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining. So I think with that, I don't have anything else to add on what we've done. So if there are no more questions or
I do have one more thing. I don't know if everybody's aware, but the chapter board met this last weekend. Had a wonderful retreat in LaGrange and got to take a prairie hike on one of our partners down there that's in the Fayette chapter. So we've got a lot of things coming down the pike for the year, and we're super excited and wanting to add to our numbers for our conservation on how many acres we have. And we're just super excited. We had a good attendance and a lot of exciting talk.
And Joanne, to add to that, one of our Fayette chapter members, Gary and Diana Kosarek, will soon be named Land Steward Award winners for Texas Park and Wildlife Department. And another landowner down there, Mark and Cheryl Brown, are receiving the Aldo Leopold Award for land
Oh, wow.
conservation in Texas. So, yeah, very proud.
Yes, very.
Two more of our member landholders, and we have several that have won Lone Star Land Steward Awards.
yeah, I think to me, I mean, actually on this presentation, I was like, oh, at the end, I think I want to do like, what are the accomplishments of NPAT, like state NPAT, but it just seems so daunting because so much has been achieved. So, and that, having members and lands that are under conservation easements by NPAT, having them win state awards and being recognized by conservation professionals, that's a big deal. Like, there's a lot of big deal stuff going on with Native Prairies Association of Texas. But when I thought when I finished this presentation, I was like, oh, I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to do that. It would take me like another month to do that.
Oh, but thank you. We know that the Fort Worth chapter members and landowners in your service area are doing incredible restoration work too. So we appreciate it.
So perhaps we've been around the block now. All righty, so I'd like to suggest that I don't think we have any activities in February, do I? Other than the Savage Cabbage Bash. So one more reminder for Savage or Bastard Cabbage. Please contact Joanne Collins if you're interested in helping with that. And then a last reminder of our Prairie Seekers coming up in March 25th, and I think we'll close. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.